from the introduction of Becoming Animal by David Abrams, Between the Body and the Breathing Earth. Owning up to being an animal, a creature of earth, tuning our animal senses to the sensible terrain, blending our skin with the rain-rippled surface of rivers, mingling our ears with the thunder and thrumming of frogs, and our eyes with the molten sky, feeling the polyrhythmic pulse of this place, this huge windswept body of water and stone, this vexed being in whose flesh we're entangled. Becoming earth, becoming animal, becoming in this manner, fully human. In this reading, David Abrams discerns that it is our senses that connect us to our place in the cosmos, our animal body, the instrument of all of our knowing, in direct participation with the textures, sounds, and shapes of our locale, bond us to our earth and to our humanness. In Wild Geese, Mary Oliver brings us to the soft animal of our body, our creatureliness, with all its sensing capacity, sight, sound, smell, taste, heart sense, imagination, while reminding us of the comfort of our belonging, just as we are in the family of things. Our lives are overloaded with information and distractions, all screaming for our attention. We are subject to competing sidebar ads while reading our emails, embedded with videos designed to distract us. We have to focus whether we should insert our credit cards or tap them. And now your Bluetooth just dropped that important call you've been waiting for all day. And then there are the greater concerns which weigh on our heart and minds: climate change, a polarized society, social injustice, wars, and conflicts around the globe. Seeking shelter from the onslaught, we wind up tuning out, numbing out, or wigging out. On average, Americans spend 7 hours a day engaged in screen time. And we check our cell phones an astounding 144 times a day. Doing the math, beginning at age 18, a person who lives until 80 will have spent more than 17 years in their adult life engaged with a screen. 17 years. This is not the road to happiness. As our lives have shifted indoors and increasingly tethered to technology, an imbalance is created. We disconnect from our nature. We disconnect from nature. We disconnect from our nature. We disconnect from our bodies, and we lose touch with ourselves. These are some of the perils of being plugged in. Could the epidemic of loneliness be a symptom of our estrangement from nature and ourselves?
Can you hear that? It's off.
Some of the most significant obstacles to health are isolation, disconnection, and apathy. The statistics for dissatisfaction, loneliness, depression, and anxiety across all generations is concerning and newsworthy. In my experience of practicing naturopathic medicine, I can attest to these alarming statistics and can report to you that the patient of today is far sicker, less healthy, resilient, and robust than when I began practicing in 1985. Consider the rise in lifestyle-related diseases like diabetes, obesity, heart disease, cancer occurring in younger adults, autoimmune diseases, substance abuse and addiction, and the lasting legacy of trauma. There is now a compelling body of research indicating that being in nature facilitates and accelerates our body's innate ability to heal itself and can act as a type of antidote to our modern maladies. There are many ways in which nature can rebuild and rebalance our overloaded lives. Our bodies respond powerfully and innately to natural stimuli. And this is not a surprise. Throughout our evolution, we've spent 99% of our time in nature. Our physiology is still adapted to it. In testing people around the world for their preference for different images, researchers found that regardless of culture, people preferred the images of nature, in particular the savanna, with its clusters of trees, horizontal canopies, distant views, flowers, water, and changing elevations. Our ancient DNA takes great pleasure in the patterns of nature. Just like an animal, after an adrenaline-pumping encounter as it rests in the shade beneath a tree, short, quiet periods with the natural elements calm us, restores our equilibrium, and helps us feel less alone. We are innately called to nature as a place of rest and restoration. Time spent in nature, being in relationship with nature, reduces symptoms of psychological and physiological stress, balances our nervous system, bolsters immune, cardiovascular, and respiratory function, improves our focus and attention, sweetens our digestion, restores sleep quality, and expands our creativity. These cited benefits go beyond the predictable benefits of outdoor exercise. Simply put, people are healthier and happier when they have regular contact with nature. Nature improves the quality of our lives. Being outdoors in nature is free. It is easily accessible, requires minimal equipment or athletic ability. There is no need for a referral or a copay. It is a judgment-free zone. But full disclosure, it's highly addictive. Looking to Henry David Thoreau, he wrote, "I believe there is a subtle magnetism in nature, which, if we unconsciously yield to it, will direct us aright." Could it be that this subtle magnetism is in part the healing power of nature directing us aright? When we are in nature, we create a space for remembering ourselves and our intimate relationship with the other than human world. There is deep restoration here, respiration too, but there is deep restoration here. Immersing ourselves in nature is a coming home, a place of remembrance, rest, and regeneration. It is a wild tonic. So the question becomes, how do we belly up to the bar to get a steady supply of this wild medicine? Honestly, simply being out in nature on a park bench, a beach dune, or a backyard is helpful. Even looking at pictures of nature has been determined to improve well-being. But what if we want to supercharge our nature time with a double shot of that wild tonic? This is where our animal nature comes in, our creatureliness. We need to leave behind our thinking mind and bring along our sensing body. A cousin of mindfulness, we shift into bodyfulness by using our senses. The body focuses on what it can know by direct sensory contact. Our senses are the off-ramp to the thinking mind, stress, and distraction. So we literally need to come to our senses. Our senses bring us into the present moment very quickly. You cannot smell a flower and think of anything else while you are smelling, or listening to a bird, or watching a pond ripple. Exploring with our senses is a reliable way to engage in the natural world, the other than human world, thus becoming more fully human. It appears that the more often we are in nature, the better we feel. The sweet spot seems to be about 2 times a week for the maximum feel-good and benefit. So here is something you can try, and maybe you can use your imagination as I am describing this. Go to a special outdoor space, one that you love. Consider being alone, allowing yourself to listen inward as you listen outward. Give yourself about an hour to walk and wander or just sit in a sit spot. Approach your sacred space with a sense of regard. The reverence of your approach awakens depth and connection. Settle in with some good deep breathing. Tune into your senses. You might notice the clouds moving against the bluest of skies, birds calling in the trees, the gentle caress of the breeze on your skin, the smell of fresh cut grass. Stay with this noticing for a bit. The most soothing sounds in nature are wind, water, and bird song. Let your intuition and imagination take over as you become aware of something that brings you pleasure. It could be watching a column of ants, listening to the tumbling waves, tasting the air, tracing the texture of tree bark. And stay with this for a while. Continue to wander in your special place in this way until you feel complete. And then finish with an acknowledgement of gratitude for your landscape. I wonder what you might have discovered. Is it possible that your special place might have a deep kinship for you? That it can sense your presence and feel your kinship that you are reflecting back? As we do our walk or sit spot, we typically notice a sense of calm abiding. We may lose ourselves for seconds or minutes in our sensual explorations. This is good. We may experience a natural element as a psychological mirror, finding truths and connections in the rocks and trees. We enter into a fluid state of wonder and awe, a way of understanding, and insight into a meaning that is greater than ourselves. And this is the place where the magic of the healing power of nature intersects with your body. Through the experience of awe and the boundary-dissolving sense of being part of something larger than yourself, a variety of positive physiological changes takes place. It turns out that small, frequent doses of awe that we easily encounter in nature, like the miracle of daffodils or the invigorating scent of the sea, actually activates our vagus nerve. Our vagus nerve is the main nerve of the parasympathetic nervous system, sometimes referred to as the rest and digest system. It comes from deep inside the brain, gathering nerve fibers along the way that find their way to our organs, and is the counterpoint to the sympathetic nervous system's fight or flight response. You may recall that the demands of our modern life keep us in some sort of perpetual state of hypervigilance, fight or flight, most of the time, which eventually wears us out and leaves us vulnerable to poor health. When the vagus nerve is activated, it regulates our physical health by optimizing heart rate and respiration, digestive and immune function, downsizing inflammation, and calming our stress-related physiology. The vagus nerve activation supports emotional health as well by inducing soothing neurotransmitters like oxytocin and dopamine, creating a feeling of curiosity, belonging, and well-being. I have to admit, as I was writing this, I kept hearing a familiar tug of a familiar tune in my head. Could it be Elvis? Viva the Vegas! Viva the Vegas! But I digress. Being moved by awe shifts our minds from separateness and independence to seeing things as interrelated and dependent, a state of interbeing. It moves us to connect and explore. Psychologist and researcher Dr. Keltner writes in his book, Awe, that there are infinite ways to finding awe: music, art, visual design, in witnessing the kindness and courage of others, which he calls moral beauty, in our spiritual lives, and in nature, what he calls wild awe. The point is to go out and find it where you find it. Awe surrounds us every day, everywhere. It offers us an insight into ourselves, a more nuanced understanding of the world and our place in it, offering us its wild tonic of rest and restoration, the vis medicatrix naturae, the healing power of nature.